Let's try that again, and this time we'll hit start recording instead of start streaming. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Action Bros Gaming. Boy, howdy, do I got a good movie for y'all guys to check out. This one was like, in such a year of terrible films and barely okay films. This is some good stuff right here. Would y'all fucking stop your shit? Godzilla Minus One is an interesting feat in a tumultuous time in cinema. After a year of $200 million movies with box office bombs, companies like Disney are left scratching their heads. Well, we've thrown a shit ton of money at it, why isn't it making a profit? Then comes along a movie with hardly any financial backing, spoken in another language, and it's somehow the talk of the town among several movie critics. Godzilla Minus One is carrying itself on word of mouth alone, something almost unheard of today. I first heard of the movie through the Nerdrotic podcast, and after hearing several reviewers I respect give it a thumbs up, I decided to give it a go. Ladies and gentlemen, this movie slaps. Be warned, minor spoilers ahead, but nothing too jaw-dropping. You have been warned. The movie opens in Japan during World War II as a kamikaze pilot lands on the island of Odo. We find out soon after that the pilot, Koichi Shikishima, didn't want to die in battle and pretended to have issues with his plane so that he could land for repairs. Later that night, a horrific giant monster appears and storms the island, killing several men. After the death of his comrades, Koichi then sails to a destroyed home, bombed by the war, full of sadness and regret. But it won't be long before the creature returns, and with the Americans and Soviets in a Cold War, there's really no one to protect the Japanese. Can they stand up to this force of nature, or will the city Tokyo and the entire island of Japan fall to utter destruction? Now, in many Godzilla movies, the writers will create a subplot with the human characters so that way we can see the disaster unfold through their eyes and have an emotional connection to the events that play out in the main story. The problem is, most of these characters are shit. Now, that's only for like more modern movies. I can't really speak towards any of the movies from the 1940s. I have not watched those, unfortunately. In modern times, the only exception I can think of is Joe Brody from Godzilla 2014, whose loss of his wife is actually quite compelling.
My wife died here. Something killed my wife, and I have a right to know.
The characters in this movie are some of the best parts of the movie itself, and give the slower scenes a sense of meaning instead of just a buffer for the next monster scene. Koichi suffers with PTSD and survivor's guilt, and his friends and family have to deal with him living while their own civilian family members had died. His fellow crewmen have to deal with life outside the war, not to mention the critiques of the Japanese government and their misuse of soldiers' lives during the war. None of it comes across as preachy or political in nature, which is a huge breath of fresh air. Take some fucking notes, Bob Iger. Come on. The characters in this show genuinely show competence as well, using their resources to conquer the beast. Another huge benefit is how the characters accent Godzilla's scenes with a grounded sense of scale, and we can see what Godzilla is capable of through their eyes. This is best displayed by honestly a side-by-side with the America Godzilla alternative, which just rolled out a brand new trailer. As you can see, Godzilla vs. Kong has them like hauling ass like real people, forgetting that Godzilla probably weighs 20,000 tons. Take that versus Godzilla Minus One, who is slow, not just on land, but in water too, making him feel heavier, like a larger force. Also, the cinematography played a huge role. Instead of a wider shot, Godzilla Minus One shows many of the scenes at ground level, or using close-ups to the creature, filling the screen, truly showing how huge this monster really is. On the topic of Godzilla movies, what I really like this movie in comparison to the American versions is Godzilla himself. You see, in the American versions, he's more of like a protector of the humans against all these other monsters, and the city gets destroyed by collateral more than anything. Whereas in this movie in particular, Godzilla Minus One, he's more just a force of nature, something that just kind of happens like a hurricane, and you know, we have to figure out how to stop Godzilla from just wrecking through the territories. I mean, this guy fucks shit up, and it's awesome. I love it.
Fucking yes! Oh my fucking, I'm coming right now!
Also, I want to say the movie is visually stunning, especially when you realize that this is on a $15 million budget. Compare that to Ant-Man Quantumania, or The Marvels, or Dial of Destiny. I'm really hampering on Disney in this video. I didn't realize it. when I was writing it. But you could make 13 movies with Ant-Man Quantumania. With how much the budget was for that movie. You can make 13 Godzilla movies like this. And some of those could flop, but you could also produce the next John Wick, which had a $20 to $30 million budget. Godzilla Minus One proves one thing. More money doesn't equal a better product. I understand the desire to put in a specific scene or a background, but you can't due to budget constraints. But limitations spark creativity. Just think about the Lord of the Rings when they had to use a force dynamic in order to make the Hobbit seem smaller, rather than just using CGI to shrink him down, that they seem to do in the Hobbit films. This movie, it reminds me of the passion you can have when telling a story. Now, something so small can make a big impact. They have continued rolling it out. They've put it out in more theaters now. Highly recommend. This was the highlight of my year. Even though, I will tell you, it is Japanese, it is subtitled. If that bothers you, get over it. This movie's worth the watch. And I really felt for Shikishima in this movie. Like, he goes through some shit. This guy has a lot of reasons to not be happy. And, watching a lot of these more recent films, it seems like they don't want to hurt the main character too much. They don't want him to go through any sort of conflict. It's like, oh, we have this problem, it's resolved soon after. Oh, Ray killed Chewbacca. No, actually he's perfectly fine. He was on another ship. Things like that. It's like, it doesn't give them something to grow from. Most of these arcs just kind of seem stagnant in these movies. And another thing is, oftentimes in newer movies, you have characters who will finally embrace their destiny, and that's when everything works perfectly fine. That's when everything works well. When in reality, people who embrace their destiny normally get fucked up. Another great example would be the Lord of the Rings movie. You see scenes like where Frodo accepts his destiny of trying to take this ring to Mordor, and it wrecks him to where he has to sail off and die, basically, because it's killing him. It nearly killed him. If it weren't for the Eagles, if it weren't for this or that, he wouldn't have made it. So I like movies like this where, embracing the thing that you need to do doesn't always mean it's going to be a happy ending. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to wreck you. And I think that was one of the pieces that I liked about this movie as well, is the Japanese, they are like, look, we have to stop this creature somehow. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. So anybody can back out now. You had people come out and leave. But the people who accepted this as like what they're going to do, people jumped into this knowing what the consequences could be. And there's a lot of good payoffs to that, and the dangers that were accompanied by this task of trying to stop Godzilla. It's a really cool movie. I really enjoyed it. But that's all I've got for y'all guys today. Please like, comment, share, whatever you want to do. And I'll catch y'all guys in the next review. I'll see y'all later. Bye! What a film. That was awesome. It's good shit. It's good shit.